Okay, this recipe is for lemon posset and shortbread biscuits, and I'm doing a half quantity of the recipe here, as this one is a suggestion for a trio of desserts. So you don't need a lot of ingredients for this, and it is one of the simpler things that you could do. However, depending on what else you are cooking for your exam, not everything has to be of the highest skills. Sometimes we want to accumulate those skills. So what I've got is 300 mils of double cream, 100 grams of caster sugar, which I'm just going to put into my saucepan, and 2 lemons. And then because this is a trio of desserts, we need to serve a small amount. So I've got a selection of glasses here. I've got some shot glasses, and I've got some smaller glasses that I've found and used for desserts before. The important thing is, if you're going to use this for a trio of desserts, lemon posset you eat with a spoon. If you're going to use a shot glass, just make sure your spoon will go down to the bottom of the glass. And it depends what else you're serving with it, whether you know, which style of glass you wish to use. So I've put my sugar into my bowl, and into my saucepan rather, and I'm just going to add the whole carton of cream in there as well. And then when I have my lemons ready, I am going to heat this. So all the cream, and as I said, this is a half batch. Normally I'd make a bigger batch than this, but trio of desserts, we don't want to have so much served that you couldn't possibly eat all 3 desserts, which is another reason for using the shot glasses. So all the cream in there with the sugar, and I'm just going to leave that a minute while I sort out the lemons. So the lemons, 2 lemons, and we need the zest and the juice. So with any luck, you'll have seen this before, so I'm not going to waste time showing you all of it, but when you're grating your lemons, this side of the grater, just grate a couple of times and turn it round so that you are just lifting off the coloured part of the skin, which has all the natural oils and the juice that we want. So I'm just going to grate my 2 lemons and squeeze the juice so that I'm ready to make the lemon posset. Okay, so I have grated the rind off my lemons, and that's all I've got. But remember, you need to scrape inside the grater and between the marks on the grater. I've squeezed the juice out of one of my lemons, but I only need about 50 mils of the juice. So I'm just going to put this through a sieve into a measuring jug, and I need a little bit more. The reason that I'm using a sieve is that I want to make absolutely positive that when this posset is made, I do not have lemon pips coming to the top of my posset when it's served, because they're going to float to the top. So it's actually only taken about 1.5 of my lemons. I don't need that one, but I'm ready to go. So to make your posset, what you need to do is warm this over the heat until you can feel that the sugar has dissolved. It's quite a lot of sugar for the amount of cream. So you warm it gently, let the sugar dissolve, and then when the sugar has dissolved, turn the heat up and let it simmer for just 1 minute. Okay, my cream has been bubbling gently for about a minute, and you can tell it's got little bubbles on the top. What you don't want is for this to boil over, so keep it bubbling gently. Take it off the heat and stir in your lemon rind. So that's all my lemon rind in there. Where the sugar dissolves in it, it does start to look a bit, it doesn't look like white cream, it does go a bit yellowy in colour. So all my lemon rind, and I'm going to put in the lemon juice. Now, you would think adding the lemon juice would curdle the cream, but it doesn't. Because you've added all that sugar and you've made it into a sort of creamy syrup, it should not curdle. So there we go. What does happen is you can see that it's thickened slightly, and you can feel that it thickens slightly as you pour that in. So what I'm going to do with it now, because I want to try and get it into the little shot glasses, because this is actually done apart from just getting it into the glasses, I'm just going to pour it into another jug and put my pan to soak. And I've decided I'm going to use the taller glasses today to make these little individual desserts. And because I've got 300 mils of cream, I should be able to get, with any luck, 6 little glasses. So I'm just going to fill these, not to the top, because I don't want them filled all the way up to the top. But I'm just going to put a bit in each one, see how I go, and then I can top up with a little bit more if I think I need to. I am going to let these chill a little bit before they go into the fridge, because as you can see, the cream is hot, they're steaming. I don't want to fill these right up to the top, because if I fill them right to the top, I won't be able to do anything else to them to decorate. I won't be able to add a swirl of cream, so I'm happy to get close to the top, but I'd like to see a little tiny bit of the shot glass at the top without any lemon posset in it. It also makes it much easier to move them. And the only other thing that I need to do, I can see that I've dripped around the edge on one of these, so it's this one. I've just got a little drip there, and I just need to wipe that off, hopefully without making more mess, before I put that into the fridge to set. So as soon as those have cooled down a little bit, I will put those in the fridge to finish setting. And they need to be served, as it's a soft dessert, with a little tiny shortbread biscuit. And I do mean a little tiny shortbread biscuit, just one to go next to each of those possets. So that's the next thing that I'm going to do. So the shortbread biscuits for the lemon posset. Again, I'm making a half batch because it's less mixture to handle, so it should be quicker, and it will also keep the cost down if you're doing a trio of desserts. So in my bowl I have 50 grams of plain flour, 25 grams of corn flour and 50 grams of butter, and in my little bowl there I've got 25 grams of caster sugar ready to add. And all I need to do is just rub this butter into the 2 flours until it starts to look like breadcrumbs. If you wanted to, you could do this in a food processor, but to be honest, with this amount of mixture, by the time you've got the food processor out, set it up, put this in, you would probably be nearly done. So I wouldn't bother for just this small amount of mixture. And as soon as you can see, this has not taken long to rub in, as soon as you can see that it's starting to form big lumps, put your sugar in and keep rubbing until this goes together into one ball, which it's about to do now. So I did have my butter out of the fridge ready for this, so it was nice and soft, and we just want this to come together into one ball. And it is a small amount of shortbread mixture, but we only need a tiny little biscuit to go next to that lemon posset. So there we go, that's done and out, and I'm just going to wash my hands. Okay, so the shortbread I've just put down on a little slightly floured worktop. And I'm not going to use a rolling pin, partly because it's such a small amount and partly because it's shortbread. So I'm just going to press this with my hand, making sure that I'm not sticking it to the worktop until I've got it nice and even. And because I'm doing mini shortbread, I just want it to be about 1/2 centimetre thick. So just about 1/2 centimetre thick. And then you need to think about this again. This is a trio of desserts. We are doing minis, so I'm using my smallest possible cutter, not a massive one, because it's about the same size as the top of the glass. You can use plain or fluted, but what I don't want is to serve this tiny little dessert with a biscuit that is too big for it. So if I were to use, you know, it would look ridiculous next to an enormous biscuit. So small biscuits, and I am going to do some fluted, and because this is a double-ended cutter, some plain. I only need one biscuit to put out with one of my possets, and I've just moved the possets onto a tray or a plate, could be anything, just to make it easier to get them into the oven. And having cut, into the fridge, having cut a couple of these, I can see that the fluted one, as well as being prettier, is slightly smaller than the plain one. So I'm just going to scrunch this up. A little bit more flour on my worktop, press that out again, try and get it to the same thickness so they are going to cook through at the same time. And I'm just going to keep doing some more of the fluted ones because they are smaller. So there we go, one more. And shortbread is quite forgiving in that respect. So one last one. So I've made 8 little shortbreads and the blob. I'm going to put the blob on the tray as well. And then all I need to do is just prick a few times in the top, as you would expect with shortbread biscuits. Put that one back separate. Don't put them too close together because they may spread. And then these, being small, should not take that long to cook. They're going into the oven on 140 degrees on my fan oven, gas mark 3, and they're just going to be in there for 10 to 15 minutes, and then I will check them.